Gerald Celente.
Hello, Mr. Celente. Good afternoon. How are you doing
Hello
today?
there.
Hello. Welcome in the Netherlands. My name is Koendeel and this is Richard de Weber. And we would like to ask you a couple of questions about the future. We really appreciate that you're taking the time to talk with us. And,
my pleasure.
Oh, very nice. Thank you very much. We have a couple of questions. Richard, my colleague, will start first.
We also know that we are heading a new depression, probably the greatest depression. And my question is, how long do you expect it will endure?
It will endure until there's a productive capacity. It has to be the only way the financial crisis is going to be solved is if products are made and sold and they're distributed through a wide variety of producers and distributors. And that's not happening right now. It's concentrated. And what we've turned into in so much of the Western society particularly is a service sector society. And you cannot sustain development through just service sector only.
So there needs to be more products.
Yes, and so let's go back and give an example. Go back to the 1990s. There was a recession that was really hitting the entire world. And what got us out of it? Well, it was the Internet revolution. Our whole lives are different now. Anybody that's an adult will remember back in the early 90s, they didn't have their personal computers. It was a whole different world. So products were invented, designed, manufactured, serviced, marketed, and that's the kind of thing that we need today. In the absence of that, you cannot solve the problems by printing more digital money, as they're doing throughout the European Monetary Union, and the central banks buying up everybody's bad debt and making it better.
Absolutely, absolutely. We totally agree. Would you like to ask something about the gold?
Yes, because we have seen a drop in gold at the moment.
Yeah, it dropped under the 1360.
Well, you know, these markets have... I've been trading gold since 1978. Mm-hmm. And in those days when gold used to move, it would move 25 cents, 50 cents a day. You know, when it was down, my first buy was at $186.75 an ounce.
Wow.
The higher the number goes, the greater the swings.
Yeah.
So that's all you're seeing, and this is a very short-term move. It may even go down for several months.
Wow. Okay.
But the long-term trajectory is that as long as the European central banks and the United States central banks continue to print more digital money, the values of all the currencies are going to decline. So you see it between the euro and the dollar. Mm-hmm. To me, getting in euros when euros go up and getting out of dollars is like jumping out of the Titanic to take safe passage on the Lusitania.
Another question about the dollar, because maybe we are heading also on a hyperinflation, but what will happen with the world currency, the world reserve?
That's a good question. Let's look at the current events forming future trends. As you mentioned, the yuan with China, and now they're making it available on the global exchange. And so now you're going to have what? The euro, the yen, and the dollar, and now the yuan. And as China has swiftly moved to become the world's second greatest economic world power, it's going to move also in terms of being a currency power. It's the golden rule. Those who have the gold rule. And while Europe and the United States, the nations, or all the severe debtor nations, China's sitting on what? Over about $3 trillion worth of reserve currencies with no end in sight. So yes, we're going to see, and there's a currency war going on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We heard it from the Brazilian finance minister,
Manteiga said that, yeah. But it's absolutely true. It's a trade war which started with the currency war. And well, the next step is who's the most cheap? Who can export the cheapest?
And let's be very clear about this. When you go back in history, first it starts with currency wars, then it goes to trade wars, and then they move to world wars.
World wars. Yeah.
This is an old pattern that's been played out before.
Absolutely.
And they're doing it again. And you're seeing the seeds of the revolution
Absolutely.
as we're speaking.
Tunisia started.
Yes,
Do you think
Tunisia?
The riots in
But
Tunisia?
Let's look what happened a month ago in the UK. Off with their heads.
Absolutely.
They were screaming at the royal couple.
Yeah.
Students taken to the streets in Italy, in Greece, in Turkey, and now in Tunisia. The revolution has begun.
It has started.
You've heard me say...
It has started, but do you also think like Germany, the Netherlands, France, the better economies in the Eurozone will have the riots and the problems as well?
Yes, because of the disparity between the rich and the poor. Gerald Celente. They were screaming at the royal couple.
Yeah.
Students taken to the streets in Italy, in Greece, in Turkey, and now in Tunisia. The revolution has begun.
It has started, but do you also think like Germany, the Netherlands, France, the better economies in the Eurozone will have the riots and the problems as well?
Yes, because of the disparity between the rich and the poor.
Right. Yeah.
You have, look who's rioting. It's the young people.
Absolutely.
They have no future.
We don't believe in it anymore. We don't.
Why should they? This is feudalism, but the only difference is the peasants are educated. And they know that they don't want to live under this kind of aristocracy, the kings and queens of commerce. So that's why, look, you go back in the U.S. during the 1960s, and I was there, I'm of that age. Why did the students take to the streets against the Vietnam War? Because they were getting drafted. They were becoming cannon fodder for the military, and they didn't want to go. Now the students are cannon fodder for the banks. They're screwing the people at every level.
Absolutely. Talking about the banks, a quick question about the banks. The Federal Reserve, which is a group of private bankers who owns this Federal Reserve, which is not federal at all, but can this bank go bankrupt? Although they can print all the money they want.
No, they can't go bankrupt because of that very reason, because they're printing all the money that they want. But what they're doing is they're devaluing the currency,
Absolutely.
And they're putting the nation into bankruptcy. Let's look at the facts. We have a $14 trillion U.S. debt. That's equal to about $45,000 per person. Look at the students. They have college debt that's greater than the credit card debt. It's a debtor nation. They're printing the people into poverty. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We totally agree, actually. Can I ask, I have a website about biflation, particularly macroeconomics and biflation. You can actually see in the Netherlands now that biflation is occurring, so the price of commodities are really, really increasing in price, but in the same time, as in the United States, the housing prices are declining. How long do you think this biflation scenario will last before the hyperinflation kicks in?
It's the hyperinflation is really a tough one to call without a global currency crisis of some sort. When that happens, you're going to see it when gold prices start to approach $2,000 an ounce. And I just to give some reference points on this, as you mentioned, gold is trading at $1,360. When gold has to break over $1,400 an ounce and find stability. As it moves toward 2,000, that's when you're going to see the recognition of hyperinflation. Right now, it's still speculation. So to us, that's the key to look for.
Last question maybe about the oil. As you know, we're having peak oil. This is a theory which is already proven. But what do you think what is a substitute for oil in the future as a trend forecaster in 5 years? What do we still use oil for our cars, for our machines, or?
Oil will still have a place, but it's going to have less of a place. One of our Trends Journal will be out in several days. We're shooting for the middle of next week, and one of them is the new energy opportunities, and they're becoming real. Necessity is the mother of invention. The only thing that's holding back new energy beyond wind, solar, geothermal, or biofuel, which are not the solutions, are two reasons. One is that major corporations are buying up the inventions and paying off the inventors. And number two, because of patent restrictions, particularly in the United States, that are holding some back. So in the absence of it, but necessity is the mother of invention. Just to put this in perspective, you go back when they invented the atomic bomb. They had it was called the Manhattan Project. It cost $22 billion in U.S. dollars, if they were in today's dollars, to bring that bomb to fruition. We have the brain power and we have the money, but it's not being channeled in the right direction. To think that we're burning fossil fuels in the 21st century is as arcane as believing we should be burning whale oil or using ice instead of refrigeration.
Yeah.
So the processes are there, and as I said, necessity is the mother of invention. We believe it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Do you have any more knowledge to share with us people in the Netherlands?
Well, yes, the thing that Europe has to do is go back to being Europe. This whole nonsense of an economic European monetary union, anybody that's over 7 years old knows the deal. Inflation skyrocketed since the euro's gone online, and the standard of living has continued to decline. Be your own people. Find your individuality. That doesn't mean you have that you by being an individual you're adversaries. The greatness of the individual and in the individual nations that make it different, that makes the French, the Italians, and on, are the kind of things that really bring richness and not mediocrity. All the European Union has done is to turn the people into mediocre serfs and servants in the service sector society. And the other thing is, stop listening to American junk music entertainment and create your own. I'm so surprised when I see the Europeans stooping down to the worst of American culture.
Yeah.
Break the chains. Don't go to any chain stores. Support the locals.
Yeah.
Support your local banks. Don't put any money in the international banks. That's my suggestion. And don't put a McDonald's or any of the other junk down your throat or any kind of Coca-Cola or any other poisons.
Absolutely, we totally agree. And we actually a lot of transition towns are already popping up in the Netherlands. A lot of local towns like sharing together and not wanting the big companies anymore in their lives. They kind of all trade already. So the mental change has started, I think.
It's the most important thing that could change the direction. Again, break the chains. Buy local, bank local. Don't eat corporate food.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, Mr. Celente.
Thank you.
Hey, and thank you.